Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, space and time, monsters and aliens, welcome to RicanReactions. Now, as you see above me, it says Coquito Underground. Before my other channel got erased, I started doing these interview style formats, and I would call it Coquito Underground. So for the time being, until I get better, it's called Coquito Underground as in the interview. Today, this afternoon, this evening, whenever you hear this, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, comment, and all that jazz. We're going to have a special guest that's someone that I got interviewed a couple weeks ago on Father's Day, and then in turn, I wanted to give the favor back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome, Aunt Boogie.
Yes, sir. What's going on, Alex?
How you going, sir?
Oh, man, it's a new day. It's a new week. I'm currently out and about in the United States somewhere out here. So, yeah, man, I had to make sure I wanted to be here to go ahead and catch up with you, bro.
Of course. And I thank you so much for taking the time for my channel and everyone else. And whenever anybody reads this and hears this or whatever your style of listening of format is, all the links to his channels are down below and including his YouTube. Please subscribe, get him to 1,000 so he can share the world and everything else. Now, today, we are going to do a question style format for Mr. Ant Boogie. He does this on his channel, as you can check down the links below. But for me, I like to do it a little bit different. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into the chili, as my friend says, and let's start this off with questions 1 to 5. Now, question 1 to 5 are easy, simple questions that it will ramp up when we get to the next level. Now, question 1. Who is Ant Boogie?
Oh, man. Well, I am originally from Brooklyn, New York, and born and raised there, still home, still love it. I mean, it's changed now greatly.
Yes.
It's not the same Brooklyn that it was when I was a kid and growing up. And still am a kid who was all over the place, very active, still active to this very day. And we bounced around and we moved out to Atlanta, and then that's just what it was. Yeah. And now I am a speaker. I go around nations, I go around schools, universities, and other places and speak. And with that, have also my podcast that I get a chance to interview incredible people like yourself. So that makes it fun. And I enjoy doing things of media. It's fun. And I don't ever feel like it's a burden. I mean, it becomes difficult at times, but I enjoy it. So to put it in a nutshell, man, if I'm not playing ball, I'm working out. If I'm not working out, I'm sparring, somebody punching me, or I'm punching them. If I'm not sparring, I'm skating. If I'm not skating, I'm lifting weights. If I'm not lifting weights, I'm doing something. So I'm always just that active guy, and I love just being around people, man. Love them.
Okay, I respect that. Now, I heard a little bit about Brooklyn and how it's the state right now. We'll get to that later on. Question number 2 is, how was Brooklyn for you growing up until 21 years old? Let's cut it right
there. And you hit the right mark, man. You hit the perfect mark. Brooklyn growing up, man, I grew up in a neighborhood. It was middle class, lower middle class, if you want to call it that. We was on the lower side. We wasn't really all hot on the middle class. But man, it was the prototypical. It was the village. The best way I could put it. It was the village. We had a melting pot. Again, it's New York, so you got a melting pot of people. We have Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Haitians, Trinidadians, Jamaicans, everybody on the block. And the crazy thing was, everybody knew everybody. And it was not a spot where you didn't see, if I was outside doing something, that somebody didn't go ahead and say, tell my mother later, look, I saw Anthony running across the street, across that busy street. And that's what it was. It was fun. It had its moments, like any inner city or any big inner city, gangs and all that stuff. And as time progressed, I would say the big change happened September 11th, 2001. And New York was not New York no more. And this was I never forget when it happened. I was on my way to school.
Yeah.
And we got trapped in the train before we could even get there. And by the time we got the train stopped, the conductor said, "Get out the train." And then we was going up. And next thing I know, I hear, "Yo, run back, run back." And we're seeing this billow of ash and smoke, I think. I don't even know. And was coming, and we ran back in the train station. And that's when I got back up. I saw nothing but clouds. And the day after, not even a day, but just the week after, the month after, New York was not the same. Nobody was walking past you and bumping you, not saying sorry, nothing. I mean, I saw people saying to ladies, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, miss, you go ahead and help." Man, I never saw that, but that is when it changed. And then, by that time, that's when things started to shift also for our family in that same span of 21.
A wise man named Pooh Bear that I grew up with always told me that tragedy will show the true character of a person.
Yeah.
In all sense, tragedy or wonder. You will always see a person being humble or a person being greedy, a person being selfless or a person being selfish.
Facts.
There's always the sun as the sun rises on a tree, it's always going to be green. Now, I don't know why I'm being philosophical. Question number 3. Between the ages of 10 and 20, what was your favorite candy and drink? Since you're in New York, the time might have changed due to the effect that you liked one thing, but then they discontinued that certain thing, and then you had to switch up. Certain things are like that. I understand.
No, it's still the same, man. Reese's, Twix, Reese's Buttercup, Twix, Snickers. And even to this very day, as a grown-ass man, I am an Oreo-holic. I go crazy off of Oreos. I see them, and that's my biggest weakness. Anytime I see an Oreo cookie pack or whatever, whether it's 2-pack, 4-pack, or whatever. I mean, I can literally sit down and eat a whole pack of Oreos, the big pack, by myself, and I've done that several times. So I still have that. I still love M&Ms. Drinks back in the day. We used to have the quarter juices back, and you remember, you grew up in the Bronx, you know what that was. You had the quarter juices, and we had the tropical fancy bottles. It was 50 cents for a bottle this big. I remember those, but yeah, man. So those are the drinks. I mean, do I drink those now? Definitely not. I really don't drink juices unless if it's of my juice that I blend and make myself. But those are the drinks we used to drink. I mean, it's crazy when we were small, the type of sugar we used to put in our body, man. We had no clue, and it's amazing how I'm not overdosed on sugar or not a heavy I'm not a diabetic. I can't believe it.
You were lucky. You were lucky. You one of the lucky ones, and I can understand that. I don't even drink fake juice anymore either. Even at my age, I'm like, I have to drink something natural that has, say, 100% natural or something. Yes, and it's expensive these days, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not like where you can go to the countryside and get like a nice little bottle of orange juice for like $3, and it's like as big as a cow. No, that amount now is about $5, and you get about this amount, which sucks. But I digress. Question number 4. What was your favorite movie growing up?
Oh, man.
Just one. Just one.
Favorite one? Oh, man. My favorite growing up, Pinocchio. I used to love Pinocchio. My aunt, she used to always get she used to always get that. There was a video store right next door to her or below her. And I would just always ask for Pinocchio. Just give me Pinocchio, and I was good.
Okay. I get that. Okay. Question number 5 is a simple one, but kind of not, but leading on to number 6. When was the first time you were in a situation where you said, if I'm staying here, something bad's going to happen?
Oh, man.
Your first time. First
time. I would say in junior high when I was the follower. I would just follow people and just do things. And I remember I used to see these guys do all sorts of stupid things, you know, it's not nothing like what it was now, where, you slapping the teacher or whatever. Nah, but it was just, pulling the fire alarm and this and that. And then at some point, I always knew, like, yo, if I keep running with these guys, at some point, I'm going to get caught up. And it took a while before it almost actually happened. Barely did I get caught. And I had to get away from that. I really had to get away from that situation. But I knew one was when I was hanging out with some friends back in high school. And again, being the follower and getting outside, and police round us all up. I just came out from school, and police round us up. Everybody against the wall, shut up. And I'm like, hands on your head. And I'm like, yo, I didn't do nothing. Shut up. I didn't ask you that. And that's when, thankfully, teacher saw me. Hey, look, he wasn't with them. She had proof that I wasn't with them and everything. And that's when she told me, in the best way, get your ish together. She said, you better not be running with these guys. And that was where I said, yeah, I couldn't. The follower in me started to erode. And it was like, not again.
I get that. To give you a story of my own, comparing to what the first time I remember, not the first time I remember, I did something stupid, but one of many times in my life. On Mother's Day, I wanted to get a gift to my mom. So me and my friend got a ride 7 miles to Walmart, not knowing that on Mother's Day, everything is closed. Everything here in Puerto Rico is closed like a ghost town. We didn't know that. So we got a ride there. We saw that it was closed. My friend, who has passed about 10 years now, rest in peace, said, let's go to the back to the dumpsters, because sometimes they throw away products that they don't really care about anymore. We can get something cool. Like, all right, cool. So we do that. We go to the dumpsters behind Walmart, and we just started checking for stuff and like looking for things. All of a sudden, we see a security guard like kind of creep up in his little golf cart. We hide behind, and he kind of like in GTA, he just like kind of like parks there and just like says something and then slowly backs up. I was like, what the hell? As he's slowly backing up, he leaves, and a freaking cop car comes out of nowhere. I'm like, oh crap. We the first thing me and my friends do, my friend's like, we got to run. I'm like, if you run, I will rat you out and tell them where the fuck you live. Because I am not going to jail for your fucking dumbass. This is what we're going to do. We're going to stick our hands out, both of them out the side of the out of the dumpster. We're going to show that we have nothing on us, and we're going to get up. And that's what we did. And they put us on the ground. They put handcuffs on us. Ironically, at the same time we're doing this, 3 people are trying to break in the front of Walmart. And this is 2 p.m. This is not nighttime. This is 2 p.m. So we go around the front, and they say, do you know these guys? And we honestly say, no, we don't. Oh, because they're trying to break into the front, so we assume that you guys are breaking into the back. I'm like, no, we're just going to the dumpster. You can tell the security guard that. I'm like, yeah, all they were doing is just like trying to get in the dumpster. They weren't even near the door for the back entrance of Walmart. I'm like, see? Okay, you guys can go. We had to walk 7.2 miles. Well, not 7.2 miles. Sorry, it takes 7.2 minutes to get there by car. So basically, it's 6 miles. Back home at 16 years old. Ironic, and then at the end, I went to a pharmacy that's now closed, and I stole a glass postcard for my mom for Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Love you. That's what I gotta say about that. Now, as we move on, this is gonna be really funny because this is gonna be really weird. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on to level, I guess we could say like that, level 2, which is question 6 to 10. But before we do that, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and all that jazz. And here comes the video. Now, the second level is going to be a little bit more personal, and depending on you, we can go past 10. Now, this is a part, question 6 is a question 6/6B. Say it like that. Question 6, living in New York, and I don't want it to assume automatically stereotypes, nothing like that, but living your life there, have you seen a dead body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice.
Question 6B. When was that? You don't have to say the date or anything like that. You can say the year. You can say when you were young. We don't have to, we don't have to be anything specific.
First time was in junior high when we went to school, and they didn't normally we go to the schoolyard to to chill out a little and then line up to go inside. But today there was like, no, everybody go inside the auditorium. All right. Every single window in the school had trash bags on it. Every window. It was like, this is unusual. Every classroom that was on the first floor had the shades down. Unusual, because that never happens. And then some way, somehow, we saw all the teachers, security, guards, everybody just guarding every window. And we're like, yo, what is going on? It was like, yo, what's happening? They said, just keep going, just go to class. So finally, I don't know who did it, don't know how it happened, but somebody ripped it down. Or no. Somebody ripped down the trash bag, but I didn't see it. But some way, thank God I was small. Nobody could see me. I just peeked through another window in another space, and I saw a dead man face down on the ground. And then my classroom, the second period was literally right next to where the man was lying. And I said, oh man, that's the first time I saw it. Another time I saw a dead body was when a girl got shot after an argument. It was in near my apartment. So she got dropped in there, and I was like, wow. And actually, it's a crazy thing. I actually heard her last words before she died.
Yeah. Okay, I get that. I recorded history of my life at 3 or 4 years old. My mom told me I saw a dead body. Memory of my life was at 16 because it's in front of my house when it happens. And I mean, it was just old crackhead was passing by, stole some money, thought he can get away with it. I was outside at 2 a.m. smoking something, and freaking he looks at me and I look at him, and in that exact moment we locked eyes, his brain matter came out the side of his head, just bloop. I'm like, oh. And then when I look where the trajectory came from, it's a guy that I know. It's a guy that I grew up around. It's a guy that lives around my block, at the time. And he looks at me and he's like, shh, don't worry about it. I was like, and I immediately spat in my hand, turned off the blunt, and went inside. And ladies and gentlemen, that guy is deceased. That case was closed. All that crap. I'm not gonna be like involved in that. But that's what that. Question 7. When this is a really tricky one to say about this. Where is a place where you were growing up where they told you never to pass? And like, not even from your parents, from the sense of like life in general and the people around your community is like, don't go in that fucking place because it's just bad.
Right. Yeah. No, I couldn't even use it because my mother didn't know that. She didn't know. My mother was not street smart like she thought she was. We grew up on that. We understood the streets. We saw it. This is when we had after the Decepticons in Brooklyn. Yeah. Then here came the Crips and Blood thing. Oh. That wave took over bad. Like these cats they had initiation. Their initiation was to slash anybody. And this is when babies, and we even knew that babies got slashed, toddlers got slashed, women got slashed, men got slashed. That was all you saw. Yeah. So there was a block we had to go on. It was literally, you cannot walk on this block. If you had anything blue on, you don't walk on that block.
Okay.
The crazy thing was that block was right before the block I lived on. So I had to circumvent all the way around to get to this block. So I knew it was like, yo, don't go on this block. Don't go there. It was several blocks. Like, if you didn't, like when they said that in Brooklyn, just like I'm sure it is out there, in PA, if you go to places that somebody don't know you, you better say who you know fast. And
we
have those spaces out here. And from Brownsville to all over. So yeah, it was that block. Like, yo, don't go there if you got blue on. And there was another block. Like, then there was once that was Crip dominated. If you went there and you wore red, and I remember, and that was the block I used to live on at the time. And I came in there and went to go see my boy because he still lived in the old building I was in. And somebody saw me and they was like, yo. And next thing you know, everybody just popped up and started like getting ready to mobilize. I didn't know who they was coming after. But thankfully, I knew somebody, and I went to see my boy and everything. My boy looked at me and was like, yo, you walked in with that? I had a red hat on. And when I said, yeah, I was like, my old building. But when I came out, one was almost coming up to me. And then one of the guys, he said, yo, Amp. He said, don't ever come back with that. I said, oh, yeah. I didn't know that. It slipped my mind. He said, yeah, we know you're not with them, but we just telling you. So yeah, I got it. Alex, that hat went in the garbage.
Oh, yeah.
I got home. Never again. So yeah.
I get that. I understand that completely. Like in times of now, ladies and gentlemen, the place you just don't go is called Bayamon. And anyone from Bayamon, come at me. You know damn well you guys are freaking murderous over there. Don't get all mad when someone from here says it. Okay, freaking Bayamon. They even have memes where you hear like Michael Myers music when you just see the word Bayamon. I'm like, oh, come on now. That's not me. I didn't make that. Someone else did. Now, question 9 is, a little weird. What was your most craziest romantic experience that you can say? In terms of like not getting in trouble with any exes or wives or
I'm not. Oh, ding ding ding. Nope, he good. So the craziest. I was in Cancun and I met this lady there. We was just vibing, talking, chilling, and out of nowhere, she said she just took off her clothes. And she said, "Come on, come with me." And she just went in the water. And she just sat. She said, "Come and sit with me." I'm like, "What?" And she said, "Come on." And I was looking. I said, "I F it." So I just took off my clothes and we sat in the Gulf of Mexico naked and stars, moon, bro. It was so dope, man. And we just sitting there talking. And I was like, "Wow." Now, yes, it's romantic and it's great that sound, brother. When I got out that water, I was like, "Holy crap! I am naked in Mexico. This can go wrong." Yep. And thankfully. The security saw it. They make a big deal about it. They was like, "Hey, just put on some clothes, please." And it was like, "All right," but they made me put on my clothes fast. But they made her take her slow time. It was like, "Did you like the water?" Or something like that. So, but that was one of the craziest times with the girlfriend. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it for that one at this. But she wasn't my girlfriend. It was just a lady who I met. But I'm just that spontaneous guy, so I think that was like my third most spontaneous thing I've ever done.
Okay, that's ladies and gentlemen, I guess to do something crazy. I mean, when I was flying to boot camp, I met a girl that was from my same island, and we did romantic things in the bathroom in the airport. So that's one. Or the time that I went to the rainforest and then a friends of mine like, "Hey, I work in a hotel and I know these 4 women from Detroit that this woman keeps saying carpe diem, seize the day, and she wants to get dick down." I'm like, "All right." And I went underwater and did fellatio to a woman in a jacuzzi, which is the dumbest thing ever, ladies and gentlemen, in a hotel.
I did that too. That is
dumb. I know, but like I learned, I didn't know that when I was a kid. I'm like, you shouldn't do that. That's disgusting.
No
rashes, disgusting. Whatever.
Yeah.
So I did all that crap. That's another time. Or the time where I met the mother of my child, and in the first day I met her, and I was drunk as a skunk. She went woo on me and woo we'd all that night, and she can't say anything because I've already said the story 1,000 times. So that's stuff that I've done. That's like a 6 out of 10. But the number 10. Speaking of 10, when was your first fight? Not the first fight you won, not the first fight you lost, but the first fight.
Oh man. First fight, I would say when probably I was 7 or 8. We just threw. It was just one of those. I threw, you threw, and then it was one of these, and that was it.
Okay.
My first real fight came in 7th grade, where this dude thought I said something about him and I didn't. He just started cracking me in the back of the head, and I got up and I punched him, and we went at each other, and then our teacher was saying stop, and then in mid swing she came to break us up. I cracked her in the jaw, and we both got suspended. And I was a hero for the day because everybody was like, "Oh my God, I knew I was praying somebody was gonna teach, but you of all people, you." So I was a hero for the day, but I didn't feel good. And then when I finally got back from my suspension, I apologized. So she said, "Nah, it's okay. It wasn't your fault." And I just told her I just got tired of being picked on because I was being bullied because I was 5'0", and imagine you got a whole class wanting to beat you up every day, and there's not much you can. At some point you get tired of it.
Yeah, I can understand that. And people like there, ladies and gentlemen, fighting is not the answer. Always be verbal first. And if you have to be physical, try to do this safely. You don't want to get one punch knocked out into a coma, which has happened many a time in my life that I've seen. Now, I want to thank you for giving us from 1 to 10. And do you want to keep going to the uncensored? All right. I always give people pause and everything else. All right. Before I continue, I want to give a second to everyone to understand that I'm just stalling really to just do this. All right. Now for the final level or more, depending on how we go with this uncensored time. Now
that is dope.
I'll tell you the app that I use. So you can use it on your phone. Wonderful things. Time for the uncensored questions. All right. And there is no number. We're going to go as far as I can go before I have to stop myself. Now, uncensored question number 1. When was the first time you had the best Gawk 3000 in your life?
Oh,
we started off just like that. I told you.
All right. From a former girlfriend, and that was from a former girlfriend. This is years ago, and when she went there, it was, let's just put like this, things that I had watched on porn back then. Yeah, she matched that, and I couldn't believe. I was like, wow. And I mean, bro, at the end, I'm like,
yeah,
one of those. Yeah, like I would say it, when you're left speechless, that's incredible.
Or twitching. When you're stuck twitching for like half a day, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my first girlfriend. I love you. Even though you blocked me and ghosted me. You know how it is. Next question. And this is concerning Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that Brooklyn is getting gentrified and turning into what two broke girls try to represent in that show. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not promoting that show. That show is trash.
I've never seen it.
Thank God you didn't. I just want to put that out there. I watched all 5 seasons twice. It's just ridiculous. Or 7, not really sure. But these are 2-part question. Mm-hmm. What do you think Brooklyn's going to be? And what do you want Brooklyn to be in the next 20 years?
Well, you said it best. What Brooklyn is going to be, continue to be gentrified.
Yes.
It is going to be like that. It's going to go back to what it was in the beginning.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that, because whenever you have some people on there, you want to invite a certain group, and we already know once you have a Starbucks, Whole Foods. You already know who's coming in, and there's nothing wrong with it. Just what it is.
Yeah.
And where it's gonna be in 10 years, I don't know. I firmly believe with the way how rent is going out there, it has gone ridiculous. When I'm hearing how much people are paying just for a 1 bedroom, and forget a 2 or 3 bedroom. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was nowhere like when we were growing up, a 2 bedroom back in the day for us was anywhere between $730 to $800. That was the max.
By the
Now,
way, that's the price here for a 2 bedroom.
seven
7 to 800 with light and water included.
really, man,
Yeah.
not even close there. Not even a studio. So
No,
I will honestly believe that Brooklyn will end up being for those who are able and capable of affording it. Those who are not, they're going to be shipped out. And the way how I see it, it's going to be just like it is now. We're going to see more of it's going to be the haves are going to be on this side, the have-nots are going to be on this side. And I really feel that when whoever will be mayor or governor during that time of 10 years from now, they're going to see to it that there's going to be a special police to protect that.
Now, continuing on from that question, do you believe, because over here in Puerto Rico, to give you context, over here in Puerto Rico, people are leaving the island to go to the States because they can't find anything over here. And people are leaving the States to come to the island because of Act 20, Act 22, Act 60. If you have a business, you could just make one up here and pay only 4%.
Oh, wow.
It's a weird thing. I talk about it on my channel. Do you think that's the future of America as a whole? Because mostly Americans are doing this, not really, and some Spaniards and a couple Italians, maybe a couple Chinese representatives. No one from Japan's trying to come over here for some weird reason. I don't know why. We're an island too. Respect us. But what do you think is going from there? Because honestly, I love my island and I would never want to leave. But if the structure is that I have to leave, and then you as a person, Mr. Boogie, have to leave to go to Puerto Rico just to maintain your business, would you do it? Let's say like that. Would you do that? Honestly.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the future, where people are going to finally be an expat. They're going to they're going to look to get up and go out from the States, because as we're seeing, taxes, inflation. I mean, inflation is everywhere, but with the way how inflation is here, you got to think twice about getting married. You got to think twice now of getting a family. You got to think twice if you want a home. Sad. This is something I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime, but yeah, we are. So I definitely believe that will be the new thing, where you're going to see people leaving the States and they're going to go all over. But the biggest thing will be, will those countries accept Americans? Because of course, Americans have a very tarnished reputation of being a-holes and being all sorts of know-it-alls and everything. And then there's like, all right, well, that's not all of us. And that's the whole bigger thing. And even when you go there, you got to more than prove yourself. Like, no, I'm not what you see on the TV. Because again, as we know, TV dictates everything for people now, screens. So that's another thing that I definitely feel is going to happen. That will be the case, where people will be coming to places like Puerto Rico. They're going to come to places. Of course, Brazil is happening with that. People flooding that, where Americans going there. People going Portugal. People are going all over. And it's like, hey, why not? If that ever arises for me and I get that opportunity, yeah, I will take that.
You know, there's two things I want to say. Next question before I get to that one. It's actually ironic. My mom and most of my friends are going to Colombia for a vacation. Wow. And I'm like, why don't you go to the Dominican Republic? And I'm like, and the funniest thing, and ladies and gentlemen, this is a little secret. Dominican Republic, I'll get a little closer, is dirt fucking cheap to live there. If you got $5,000, you can effectively buy land, make a mansion, have maids and nurses for about 5 years.
Wow.
Straight up. But again, it's a lot of people like trying to get off the island and just trying to hustle to make ends meet. But Colombia, to Latinos, are like a welcome, which is really weird. So I want to put that out there. Speaking on which, on the next question, let's say hypothetical, you have a sports company, which you do, and you have a talk show and a podcast and everything else, ladies and gentlemen, make sure check the links down below and for all these connections. Let's say you get sponsored or get picked up by Jake Paul, in the sense of Jake Paul says, "Hey, I like your style of like boxing podcast, and I want to promote it and everything else." And then before you say yes, you investigate him and see what he has done. And to give you context, there's a boxer named Amanda Serrano, Puerto Rican boxer here. She's won a couple gold belts, a beast in the ring.
I've seen her.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen her.
Jake Paul represents her. Only her. He takes her everywhere. He took her to the pre-fight conference between him and Mike Tyson. She was right there. And the reason she does that is that no one really knows this, is that he invested $50,000 in her gym. Just her gym. Not the gym in the town, not the gym in anything else. Her gym. Didn't invest in anything else. So, and then on top of that, you have Logan Paul, his brother, with the Prime and the Bitcoin scandal. And Jake Paul will always go to your town if there's a crisis and have a photo op with an old lady. We'll put that out there too. He will always do that. And there's evidence here. Knowing all this, will you still want to get sponsored by this people?
No.
Okay. Why?
I hold myself up to standards and morals, bro. And yes. And knowing what that I know about these brothers, I understand that they really made their fame from YouTube and all that other stuff. Hey, no problem. So be it. But for me, it's just the fact that last thing I want to be used as a cash cow as a cash cow lightning rod. Like, oh yeah, we just, if we mess up or we F up, we're gonna go and rock with Ant so we can just clear ourselves up.
Yeah.
No. You understand this, and being in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those islands, including the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, those were used as shellway countries. If anybody has something, they put the money there, whatever, stash there, and so nothing can be touched. And I wouldn't want to be used as a stash, as a hideaway for anybody. Yeah. So for me, I'd rather get mine the hard way and get it the legit way, so nobody could ever say, "Oh yeah, well he did that for money," because that's the only way. So no, definitely not.
Okay. I get that. I mean, I don't like personally the Pauls because, one, wherever he goes, he puts the Puerto Rican flag on his trunks now, and I'm like, motherfucker, you've only been there for 3 years. You weren't even here during the hurricane, bitch. All right, you came after. But and for Logan Paul, I don't like him, not because of his wrestling things, not because of anything else. He particularly did this prank. Didn't record this, but he just did it because he just wanted to fuck with kids. There was 4 14-year-old kids next to where he lives. He made a unalive prank and did it in front of them. Right? Freaked them the fuck out.
I bet.
Right? Traumatized those kids, but for them it was a joke. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something you don't know. When you're driving to the airport, let's say from the east to the north, you pass by the baseball stadium, you pass by the giant statue of Roberto Clemente, and by doing so, you pass by a giant bridge, right? It's a giant brass Roberto Clemente. You can't miss it at all. It's just humongous.
Really?
Oh yeah, they love Roberto Clemente. Acho, they love him like Jesus here, like just right off the bat. Like no one uses that stadium, but at least that statue's freaking shine the hell up. So you know how that goes. That particular bridge is known, and this is a fact. You want to fact check me? Come at me, motherfuckers. It's known that every month someone unalives himself on that same bridge. Every single month, someone just goes up to the top, and it's about a 60-foot drop. Every single time. So I take unaliveness very seriously here, ladies and gentlemen. And when someone makes a joke to children, that automatically just like, again, he went to Japan, did that, but that's okay. I'm gonna, yeah. Next question. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Who the hell is gonna win?
To be up with you, my man, I'm not gonna watch it because it's a farce.
I know,
but honestly, if I can call it what it is, I'll give Tyson probably 2 good rounds.
Yeah,
Jake Paul's gonna go at him until I think, honestly, I believe this whole thing is staged. But I feel if Paul steps out the script, and you enrage Mike Tyson, everybody's like, "Oh, Mike Tyson is what 50 something like that." He's like
50
something around there. That's still Mike freaking Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And there was somebody on the plane who tested Mike Tyson one time by asking for weed and was like, and kept hounding him until he got up and he started cracking the dude. And the dude did all of that because he wanted to feel Mike Tyson punch him. Stupid. Yeah. Stupid. And he did. He was leaking a little. Yeah. So I feel that Paul will take it because that's just how it is. But I feel if Paul goes off script, Mike Tyson will come out. Okay. He will come out, and yeah, and that's when it's everything is gonna go. All hell's gonna break loose. It ain't gonna be. I hope that. Is
I hope that. No, I want Mike Tyson to just like he might get an aneurysm after this, but I don't. I mean, right. I hope he don't. But I want you to fucking demolish Jake Paul and just shut him in. Like no more of him going to different wrestlers, like different boxers now, and keep doing this. After Mike Tyson, he's like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. That's it. That's all I want you to do, Jake Paul. Just stop this farce.
I wouldn't say that. I will say if he does after Tyson, I would say this, Alex, that after this, go and get some real boxers now.
Yeah.
No longer going to like MMA fighters who hasn't really fought boxing. Go and get some real boxers now. Now we can see what you're really about.
Yeah.
Because I forgot the last guy he fought. He was an MMA fighter. I forgot homeboy's name, but he had a shot, but he just dropped his hands too much. But I will say after this, if I feel he will win it, let's see if you're going to actually go to boxes. But as I said,
I like that.
Go off script. That might be Tyson come out like resurrected.
I would like that. Now, moving on, I actually wanted to talk about this in the beginning of the questions, but I like talking about this now because you can be more open about this. Your topics that you talk about is about the being a father. And again, we both are like I'm a father myself, and you want like the fathers to be there in life. Now, can you tell the people in your own words, how can we do that? How can we help these sons and daughters like stop being so fucking ratchet? Honestly, doesn't matter the race, ladies and gentlemen. You ratchet, and just because again, I grew up 42 years old, and I grew up with morals and ethics, but I grew up in a society where you were always fearful of death. I grew up in the 90s in Puerto Rico when the gangs were going crazy. You grew up in the 90s in Brooklyn when it was just, you had to look both ways. So paranoia is our tattoo.
Right.
This generation is just, exactly. Paranoia is like, shout out to Pooh Bear for that one. But this generation is based on no one expects to get punched in the mouth. Understand what I'm saying? No one. You want to talk right into the person's face and expect no one to punch in the mouth. But when someone punches in the mouth, oh my God, why? Because you're in my fucking face. So what should we do to rectify that, Mr. Boogie?
I would say first, number one, I want to clarify this to everyone. I am not a dad.
I know you are. I'm sorry.
But I've worked with kids for a very long time in my life. And to rectify that, it starts in the home. What codes and morals are you teaching your children? And the biggest thing is this wonderful small device that we have that we're quick to give our children from the time they are born. That is a blessing, but more so a curse. So you as a parent have to put the clamps on that. I remember one kid that he used to be through our program, and he says his mother he only has 30 minutes of screen time. I was like, say what? I never heard that. He said, we only have 30 minutes screen time. I said, so how does that happen? He said, simple. My mother takes away my iPad. And then I was talking to his mom one day, and I said, he said that he only has 30 minutes. She said, yeah. After I say 30 minutes, I shut off the Wi-Fi and everything until he goes to bed. I said, wow. So it starts in the home, man. And that's where it is. As I'm sure as you do with your little one, with, well, not so little one, but you're growing up into a grown one, that you have to make sure, hey, look, this is how this thing rolls in the home. Like, as you said, how it was for us. We had to look both ways, but we were given these codes and morals from the crib. When we leave outside, we represent our mother, we represent our father, we represent our family. You don't come out here and try to stunt whatever you're doing. Now, today, you can't say anything because parents are doing the same thing with their kids. Parents are joining their kids on these things. I don't know if you know, but out here, not too long ago, this two little girls got into typical kids fight. They're 8 years old, 7 or 8 years old. Typical little girls. They got into fight. One was bullying the other. The father went to the school and said, hey, look, I want this child to stop bullying my daughter. So after time and time, finally, they had a face-to-face meeting with the parents and kids intervention thing. However, this child still bullied his daughter. Yeah. This dude showed up to the school. Him and his brothers beat down this dad of the bully and showed him up. And he made a contrition video like, hey, I'm sorry, little girl, that you had to see that. I know that you going to be traumatized, but I'm out here doing God's work and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you see, this is where I get what he was doing. Would I've done something like that as a father? Possibly. However, you have to still think your dad, your little girl is going to see this. Who knows what she's going to do now? She's going to start with people. And Alex, you know this from things you and I have spoken before. She grows older. She's going to start with a dude and try to approach him and come at him like a dude. And a guy's going to be a guy. He's going to put her down. Now, you're going to get mad and get people to come at him, but not understanding you didn't teach your daughter these things. So it starts in the home, man. It really, really starts in the home. And it's so very important that you lay down the morals and codes that your family will live by. And of course, the biggest thing, you have to live by it first. You're the greatest example before your kids live it.
No, I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone still watching, and if you are watching, 8 people watching, I appreciate you. Go look up Snowflake Mountain. And you too, Mr. and Boogie. That is the perfect representation of a show taking the idea of taking all these millennials, putting them in the woods, and actually teaching them how to fish, how to make fire, how to survive, how to get water. Shout out to my ex co-host, my wonderful, sexy co-host, Laren Gaines. He looks just like one of the guys there. But Snowflake Mountain, I'm going to actually rewatch that again when my girlfriend comes back. I love that show. I showed my son that too. I'm like, you know the reason I taught you how to cook and clean and sweep and mop and did all that shit before you were 10? This is why. So the reason is that you don't become these people who are just whining. But then they realize that they're wrong. Question for you. Should it be a requirement? And again, this may be a little extreme, but I'm old school. Should it be a requirement to send your kid between the ages of 10 to 18 to a specialist camp? Meaning you want your kid to learn something. You want your kid to learn a craft. Okay, what do you like to do? Oh, I like to make planes, or I like to code. All right, go. You're going to a coding camp. Oh, I want to learn nature. Okay, fine. I'm sending your ass to freaking carpentry. You learn nature while cutting wood and figuring out things. Like, would you be okay if it was a mandatory thing for kids? Because again, we grew up with it's summer. You're not staying home. You're going somewhere, and you're gonna stay there for 2 months, and then we'll pick you up later. I'm like, all right, okay. You know how it is.
Oh man. I wouldn't say mandatory. I wouldn't agree with it being mandatory. But it's funny. I'm reading this right now in a book with Dr. Angela Duckworth, Grit, and she's talking about that. In one of the chapters, she talked about when you force a child to be part of a program, a group, a sporting extracurricular activity, and if they don't get challenged, you'll see if they will persist. And if they don't persist in it, this will show who they will become later in life. And she said, do you force them to keep going? Or do you say, all right, well, hey, you didn't like it because it was hard, get out of it. And it's when she said this thing, when she was interviewing a couple other psychologists, and they said, when a child is able to solve something difficult, whether it was learning how to start a fire, fish, or whatever. Let's say the camp, they couldn't catch a fish for like 3 weeks straight. But then on that last week, they caught a fish, one fish one day, the next day, 2 fish. And then 4 days straight, they catching fishes. They're going to have that sense of accomplishment. Like, oh, all right, so guess what they're going to do? Next year, I want to go back to camp. Because why? They're going off of that high. Like, I want to try that again. So I think that also comes from it comes back from us. Like, do we still say, no, go ahead, get your ass back in there? No, I don't care if it got a little hard. This is part of the game. But we don't want to do that, because every time children cry for something, they're getting everything. So they don't know how to work for it. They don't know what happens when you don't get something. For me, I'm sure, Alex, you grew up in this same era. Like, yo, if you didn't have the grades, you weren't getting anything.
Exactly.
You weren't getting anything. Your grades was horrible. No, you're not getting. I'll never forget when I was in 2nd grade, my mother said, yo, you're not getting a birthday party. And I was like, why? Your grades are bad. All right, Mom, if you say so. Alex, I swear to you, on the day my birthday came and left. That woman, no plates, no birthday cake, no nothing. My mother came out with a 10-inch cake with me and my friends in the apartment building we lived in. And she said, happy birthday. And she was like, no, you're not getting anything. This is how this game works. So I say, yeah, absolutely. Encourage your kids to be part of those things, so they learn a skill, they learn something out there. And as you said, yes, you teach your child to cook and clean. Yeah, my mother taught me how to clean the bathtub. That's the first thing I learned how to do. First thing was taking out the trash. Second was cleaning the bathtub, and then learning how to mop. It was gradually doing it. And these are things that you got to teach, because Alex, is so sad today when I hear a mother said one time her kid was 19 or 20, and this boy could not pour cereal. Oh, God. I say that for you again. 19 or 20 and could not pour cereal. I never heard that. This is when you and I, when our hands were too small and the box was bigger than us, and we poured in, man, the whole box of cereal and all that milk came out. That was part of the game. But mom got mad and whatever. Mom, dad got mad and whatever. But we learned as time progressed. And then we learned how to touch the stove, but we had to be careful with this. So, yeah, I definitely believe parents should encourage it, but not mandatory, because the last thing you want is for a kid to just do it, and then they have the skill and they don't use it.
Okay, I get that. And again, mandatory might have been a little bit extreme, but I want kids today to understand that you can learn the same things that we did without the trauma behind it. Right. It's a lot more simpler that way than to just give you trauma and then you have to learn by trial of fire every freaking thing of life. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I learned how to sweep and mop and clean and cook and all that stuff before I was even 14, because my mom told me as a kid, I want you to learn all those things. And my dad, before he died, taught me how to make a house, how to cement, how to sand the wall, because he told myself, when you get older, you don't want to rely on anybody to do it for you. If you know how to do it, then you know how to do it by yourself. Get some land and just do it. My brothers, as stubborn as they are whizzes in mechanics and just troubleshooting. Because like you said, you're in a situation, you have to learn to adapt, or you just have to give up and understand that you just don't know how to do that. Yeah. I don't know how to drive stick, and I've tried many a time, but I've known that if I don't know how to drive stick, I'm not going to keep pressuring myself. I'm going to try a different route. My brothers are like, F that. We're going to learn how to drive stick. We're going to learn how to drive 18-wheeler. We're going to learn how to drive a Bobcat. We're going to learn how to, because they got interested. Like you said, they just went from one thing to the next. My brother went from horses, the go-karts, to motorcycles, the ATVs, the Ford tracks. Now he's in ATVs again. Kind of like horses, but he doesn't want to maintain them because horses here are kind of hard to find. There is no stables here, ladies and gentlemen. The things you see on TV, that's all illusion. We leave horses in abandoned factories, and that's the way they live. Okay? And then they're like dogs. They wake up in the morning, and they just frolic around town, eating stuff, and then they go back home. That's what they do here. It's weird. But
I agree. And that's something that I've learned that made me understood before manhood came into my play. Cook and clean for yourself. I learned how to clean for myself. That was the first number one thing. Making up your bed. Jesus Lord, just do that. And then cook was like, I had to learn how to cook, Alex, when I was 21. And that's when we moved. And I was in this apartment by myself. Didn't know I had macaroni shells and tuna, and I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, what do I do with this? And then it was simple. Put it together. Just put it together and eat. And it was the most horrible thing I tasted, but it's just what it was. And that's what I learned. Like, yo, you don't want to be this man in your life growing up and you waiting for a woman to cook for you, clean for you, when you can do this for yourself. Because what if it doesn't happen? Then what do you do? And it's like, it's expensive to eat out every single day. Last time I checked.
Yep. Damn right it is. I know that much, man. I have to get sales and specials to get. Anyway, last question before, so we can finish this up and enjoy the day and a night. In the future, where do you think your, I'm not going to say country because that's a big question. Where do you think your state is going in the next 10 years?
Well, right now I see that the state has grown. The city has grown exponentially, and I feel it will continue to grow. It will, I think, is going to have more cities that's going to be annexed. Is no longer going to be, all right, we're here in Atlanta. No, they're going to be like, nope, we separate from Atlanta. We don't want to be here next to Atlanta no more. And I feel they're going to have more of those. And with that, there's going to be some neighborhoods that I know that people don't like it, but I have to call it what it is. They need to be gentrified because it's putting a sore eye on some things. And it's like, yeah, this needs to be cleaned up, needs to be better. And I'm about capitalism. Like, look, if there's some way you can get some money out of this, cool. But I'm about ethical capitalism. Like, yo, if we're gonna, without hurting somebody, making people be homeless or anything, let's try to find some way to get money out of this. I'm with that. But if it's gonna cause people to lose their lives, their home, no, don't do that. Like, find another way. But I feel that's gonna happen. That you're gonna see more gentrified neighborhoods. And you're going to see more of people. Is going to be more of people who have and who don't have. And I'm praying there will be a reset. I'm praying that for the nation and possibly the world, a great reset where we're like, all right, let's try this thing all over again. And let's start from scratch.
Supplemental last question. In this grand reset, multiple choice, either be from natural disaster, world war, race war, or religious war.
Ooh. One choice.
One choice. Because I don't think there's gonna be a race war after a hurricane.
No. There's not gonna be a race war. That wouldn't make. We did this. We did that already in terms of when everybody was doing the woke thing. We did that already. We went there, and after George Floyd, everybody, in which I felt was an anomaly. Everybody around the world changed and wanted a lot of antebellum stuff to be dropped from their countries, their native countries. I feel either war or a biological thing. I feel it will possibly war because of the fact that war destroys.
Yes,
war destroys, and when supplies are gone. Civilization is now scarce. You have no choice but now to like, all right, let's get back to now. We got to rebuild, just like you knew in your country after natural disaster, that hurricane that hit. Everybody had to rebuild, and it took a long time. And things that people could say, oh yeah, I'll be all right without lights. Okay, 3 months later,
do that shit for 9 months.
That's what I'm saying. When you got 3 months, you can say that now, but 3 months later is not cool. 6 months is not cool. 9 months is torture. So I feel it's gonna be. It may be with war. I don't like war, but I think it may go there. Who will have the war? Don't know. But I think once it goes there, that's when we will see that reset. And now we will have to get back to our senses, and we'll realize, like, yo, a lot of these weapons that we're using, that we've been using, and that we've been hoarding, this thing is more detrimental to us than it is helpful.
Of course. And I think for my answer is it's going to be natural disasters. I mean, for example, you talked about Hurricane Maria on May 8th to May 11th, a simple storm passed by Puerto Rico, but it came in from the south. And and you can check out my channel. Everyone else can check out my channel, my shorts. You can literally see people take stairs and go on top of roofs because the whole street and up until the roof of their cars were filled with water. And that was just one day. And then a tourist died on the 11th in a famous waterfall. Then another tourist died in a river it's just, I get scared for natural disasters because we can't just say we're going to take care of it. We have to say we have to wait until it's done and then figure out what to do afterwards. Because yes, we can rebuild, but I hope that we can rebuild with moral sense of doing it right instead of what they did here in Maria, which was rebuild with holes in the floor to this day, because we still have holes in our infrastructure to this day. But ladies and gentlemen, final thoughts, Mr. and Boogie, on this journey and final thoughts for the world.
The journey of life has been different. It's been interesting, ups, downs, turnarounds, and what the hells. But I'm grateful, man, that I have come through a lot of them by the grace of God. And I'm not trying to be numinous and pious or anything. I'm just calling it what it is. I am a man of faith, and I'm grateful that I've come through a lot of those things. And for the world, I'm just praying that we will get to the space. And I use something that you've said before, man, that we can love each other. And for the times that you've been on the show, and you've said that many times, and it's true, that we will love each other. We will get away from this insatiable appetite for violence and crudeness and crassness. It is not helping us, because the next generation that comes in now, they're seeing this and they're thinking it's okay. And then it's going to be some normal headed people like us who have the incredible task of trying to turn them away from that. Say, no. This is how it's supposed to look. Watch this. That's not real. That's fake. This is what it is. And that's something I want us to do, to get to that point where we can be a village again. We can be a people of helping one another and looking out, because this is the only way we will survive. When we forget about self, there's nothing wrong looking after you, but when we focus too much on self is not good. When we could just drop self a little and look after the next man and not take advantage of each other.
That's true. I like that. That was nice. That's like little Mr. Rogers stuff right there. That was pretty cool. My closing thoughts is as follows. When trying to find the truth, look both ways, behind, forward, left, and right. When trying to be true to yourself, remember that you were untrue in the past. Remember it, savor it, but never repeat it. That's how you become your true self. Good. And third thing, it only costs under $4, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want a baby, buy a condom. For the love of God, it's not that hard. That's what she said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for passing by. Thank you for enjoying our process. Hopefully we can do this again at another time. Hopefully when my girlfriend comes over and we can talk about more about spirituality and politics. But stay healthy. Stay happy. Welcome to RicanReactions, Coquito Underground. And sing that song, Sauce Walker. Sing it well.